Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest. She's really just a lowly teacher from Athens High School. Recently promoted to high school from middle school. That's her everyday life. But you wouldn't know her secret identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is American Ninja Warrior Competition. Megan Dillard. Megan, welcome. Tailgate Talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
She's like a superhero type.
Yeah, she's a superhero. I mean, if
mild-mannered.
anybody has ever watched that show,
it's
you go
vicious.
from mild-mannered school teacher to busting out that stuff. I mean, it's incredible.
Horns start growing out of some of these
my
folks' head.
goodness.
Capes start flying out.
But the great story, and I know she'll tell us about it, but the great story about her, she not just that she went on there, but her dog.
Yes.
And that's the rest of the story that y'all don't know about.
Well,
so
start with the first part of the story.
So she can
how
tell
you
us
got
about that.
started.
Yeah.
What kind of obviously got to have a wicked fitness routine.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I was always a fan of the show, and me and my husband are sitting there watching it, and I was like, you know what, that looks really fun. I think I want to do that. And he kind of gives me the side eye, like, okay, you're crazy. You want to do this? And I have no background in anything like this. I don't do rock climbing. I don't do gymnastics. I was a cheerleader. So I have a little bit of body control experience, but that's it. And
you didn't climb bodies as a cheerleader?
You didn't fly?
Well, I was a flyer. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, but as far as the grip strength and the upper body strength, I didn't have any experience in that. So I started training. When I first started, I couldn't do a pull-up. I couldn't climb a rope. It took me a month to be able to climb a rope.
Really?
I literally started from the bottom, and it took me 2 years to get to where I am. And I still have a long way to go. I'm by no means at my full potential, but so I just started training 3, 4, 5 days a week, and it just kind of took off from there.
So you're not done. I mean,
I'm not done.
You're
I'm
going
still
back
training.
more and more to apply and compete again.
Yes, I'm gonna try.
When's the next season?
So we have to apply by January 1st.
Okay.
And they'll start making calls around March, and they film April, May, and then it'll air next summer.
Awesome.
You being a past contestant, do you think does that help you with the next opportunity, or does it matter?
It just is kind of a toss-up. For some people, you have a better chance of getting back on if you've been on one time. For others, you don't. So it just depends. It depends on how inspiring they feel like you are. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, good. We'll keep them crossed for you.
Thank you.
But I think the best part of your story, like you said too, was like I said, you were at the time teaching at Athens Middle School, right?
Right. Yes.
And
intermediate.
The intermediate.
School,
I always get them mixed up. I'm sorry.
We're old guys. We both went to the middle school.
Yeah, but you bring your dog to school
I do.
certain time of the week, and he was a big part of your show.
Yes.
Appearance on the show.
Yes, he's the rock star. I'm kind of the sideshow.
So tell us about him.
So I have a 4.5-year-old shepherd mix.
Okay.
I got him when he was 3 months old. He was a teeny little puppy. And when he was 4 months old, he jumped out of our truck and he broke his leg.
It happens. Yeah, they do that.
We spent a month trying to save it, and he ended up with an infection. And in order to save him, we had to lose the leg.
Oh.
And just his whole demeanor throughout the entire process inspired me to make him a therapy dog. He was just super positive, and I know people think I'm crazy when I say my dog's positive.
No, absolutely not.
Have a dog that's not positive, you'll understand real quick.
Right, yeah, exactly. So he kind of got me through him losing his leg, and I thought, well, what can we do for other people, And so we went through testing, we got certified, we started doing visits in nursing homes and things like that, and I was like, this is really cool. Like, he's changing lives.
Yeah.
What could I do in my classroom? Because kids love animals, and everybody loves animals, right?
Oh, yeah.
But, with especially being disabled, I have a disabled animal. Like, in a classroom, what could I do? So I wrote a proposal to my school, and they accepted it. And so he comes to school with me 2 days a week, and he works with my kids, and it's been amazing.
That is awesome.
So a service dog, they've got to go through training and.
Well, no, he is a therapy dog.
A therapy dog,
yes.
not a service dog.
Okay.
Yes. So there is a difference.
Okay.
His job is just to make people happy.
Uh-huh.
So it's not necessarily a training process. It's like a temperament process. You have to go through a series of testing to prove that he can handle stressful situations and he's okay with strangers and things like that. There's a pretty intensive testing process.
Gotcha.
So now that you're moved from intermediate to high school, are you going to be able to, have you got that cleared?
Yes, I am. He gets to go with me.
So well, you're actually, this is so weird. You're actually going because you're not from around here.
I'm not.
So you haven't been to all these schools. So she'll start her high school career at Athens, the old Athens Middle School
Yes.
until November. So
Then
she's
she
been
gets to go.
she's been to the intermediate. So for her never to live here,
She'll
your
catch
heart's
all
all
three
right.
of
Yes.
She goes to intermediate and then the high school, which is the old middle school. Then she'll get to go to the new high school.
And I'll
Yes.
tell you something else. The old middle school used to be the high school.
And
Yes.
be those
There
high
you go.
schools.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So real
What-
quick,
what-
since we brought that up, and I'm not trying to, because you have such a wonderful story, but are y'all crammed in there? Because everybody that we couldn't imagine it happening.
Yeah, we're making it work. You know,
Okay.
we're making the best out of the situation,
That's all
and
you can do.
and you know it's temporary, and the new high school is definitely going to be worth the
Oh,
wait.
yeah.
It is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I know
so
y'all are excited, and
Yeah.
students as well.
We're
So
we're biding our time. We're waiting
Yeah.
on that new building.
How far did you get in your first round of your first appearance on the Ninja Warrior?
So I made it to the third obstacle, which for our course was the balance obstacle. I fell on what's called the Razor's Edge, which is a series of 3 panels that are about 4 inches wide, and you have to run across them, and they swivel. So I fell there, and I did end up breaking my arm.
Oh my goodness!
I didn't
One thing a lot
realize
of people
that.
didn't realize.
No.
I did not realize it at first, but then I think I heard later that you
Yeah,
had.
I fell and my arm bent in a way that it shouldn't bend, and I did end up breaking my arm. I got released about 5-6 weeks ago, so I
Wow.
started back training.
So,
Yeah.
you know, once again, anybody's ever watched that show, the obstacles are just insanely
They're
hard
insane.
and crazy.
Yeah.
And you can't replicate that at the gym.
No,
So,
and-
you know, are there any particular exercises or things that you do to try to help with that particular balance or things of that nature?
So their course is normally set up in a similar manner. Like the obstacles, you never know what you get until you show up and you compete. So you can't really plan for the course itself, but you do know the style obstacles that you'll have as far as like flying through the air stuff. You have your balance stuff. You have the steps are always in it. Warp wall's always in it. So there are some things you can train for, and like the flying through the air stuff, I know that I need to work on flying through the air. I don't know what I'll be letting go of and what I'll be
What
catching.
you were grabbing, right.
Right. But I can prepare for flying through the air. So things like that.
What
You know, you can
about
prepare
Those
for.
those rings was what gets me.
Well, she's got some guns on her.
Yeah, I know
so,
she
man.
does have some guns on her.
So she's good with that.
So you got, but that to me that was just seeing some of that because I never really watched the show, but tonight you was on, I watched it and I finished watching the rest of the show and just see what some of those people do. It's amazing.
Yeah. There's some very, very talented athletes. that
And you're right
compete
there
on
with them. You're right there
Oh,
with them.
thank you.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
got a long way to go, but
So I believe that show was taped in Miami.
yes, it was.
So do they ever get like Nashville? Do they ever get in local?
They change it every year.
Yeah.
You never know where the cities are until they release the dates. A couple years ago, they had one in Atlanta.
Okay.
Last year, our area was in Daytona. So it varies.
Okay.
Okay.
I tell you what, Miami in February and March is nice.
Yes.
If y'all have never
Yeah,
been,
I've never
bet they-
been, but
I
I'm
would
sure
put
it's
it at
nicer than it is
the
here.
top of the bucket list.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
enjoyed it. It was very nice.
So, how many days a week are you training right now?
4 to 5.
Yeah.
So most of the time 5. I'm in the ninja gym 2 days a week, and
Okay.
then I'm in a regular like weight training gym
Yeah.
the other days.
So do you train on your own, or do you have a trainer?
A little bit of both. There's a girl in Huntsville that I train with a lot that competes on the show as well.
Oh.
So she's kind of my trainer. She's got a little bit more experience than I do.
Oh,
so
okay.
I consider her my trainer. And then the Ninja Obstacle Academy in Huntsville has classes set up where they teach you skills and you can pick
Amazon.
out
Nah.
like your individual stuff that you want to work on, and
That's
they're
cool.
very good about helping
They have a
with stuff like that.
Ninja obstacle training place in Huntsville.
Yes,
Wow,
yes,
that is
Ninja
awesome.
Obstacle Academy.
So
Ninja
we
Obstacle
learned
Academy.
something new. We did not know that.
Yes,
Wow.
it's awesome.
Well,
If
bless
you're-
your heart. Between Hartselle to Athens to Huntsville to what, you're all
I
over.
drive a lot.
Absolutely.
That's
But it's
awesome.
worth it. It's
That's
worth
awesome.
So what's the name of your three-legged dog?
it. Zeus.
Zeus.
Of
Zeus.
course.
That's a great name.
Zeus.
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 Write
yes.
that one down. That's a
And
good.
he lives up to his name too.
Obviously so. That is wonderful. And you know what? Even better for your kids to be
Yes.
able to experience them, and because everybody does love animals, and he is, I'm sure, an inspiration or whatever. You know, you can tell his story and look where he came from, and you can relate. I don't care what anybody says. You can relate to animals.
Oh, absolutely.
And if he can do it, then I can do it. Type
Absolutely.
mentality. So that is an awesome story.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show our ninja skills. So fast you never saw it. Did you see that?
Never
saw
I
it.
didn't
man.
see it, dude.
Too fast. You have to slow YouTube down.
Yeah, they're gonna have to slow mo
just
it.
so we can
Tim
get-
will slow motion.
But
yeah.
if Megan, if you make it back on Ninja Warrior, we want you back on to talk and
Okay.
tell us
Yeah.
about that experience.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Absolutely. Great interview. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a quick break. You're listening to Applebee's Tailgate, talking WKAC, the Big 1080.